Hi guys, my name is Neema, and this is a group assignment of simulation in credibility theory, and my group mate is Carol. So our group assignment, we are tasked in to create a video presentation that demonstrate the application of simulation in the context of the insurance or investment industry. Following the steps below, we're gonna go about it. So the first step was to choose a specific aspect of the insurance industry that interests us, such as the general insurance, life insurance, or the investment industry, and also specify the nature of the business we're focusing on. The second was to develop a simulation scenario using either actual data from the industry or by generating random data and clearly defining a financial challenge or problem faced. The third was to specify the number of data points we'll use in the simulation. If we're gonna opt to use a large data set, we have to provide a reasonable justification for its size based on the complexity of the financial challenge. The fourth was to integrate the simulated client consultation segment into our presentation and also explain how our simulation aids in addressing the financial challenge and supporting the decision-making process. Next was to demonstrate the application of our simulation results to propose a realistic solution to the financial challenge. And also, we're tasked to format our video presentation in a clear and concise manner using visuals, charts, and graphs. And lastly, we're supposed to summarize the key insights derived from the simulation. So let's start with our presentation slides. So we chose this topic, simulating future stock prices and how that impacts the investment industry. Now, this is the agenda for our presentation. First, we're going to start with the introduction to the nature of the investment industry. Second, the financial challenges faced in the investment industry. Third is the objective of simulation by analyzing the impact of future prices. The fourth will be the data used to assess the financial challenges. Fifth, we will discuss the simulation methodology and scenario analysis. After that, we'll also discuss the simulation results and risk management strategies. And after that, we'll discuss about the limitation of the simulation. And lastly, we'll conclude with the key insights derived from the simulation. So starting with the introduction, investment industry is the industry where the financial advisors make decisions in the dynamic world that protects the investments, and it's also considered to be a mechanism that generates the best profits and controls investment risk. Why a future stock prices matter. So, to make a wise financial decision, we are required to have a clear understanding of where stock prices could go. We are investigating future stock prices simulations to find methods to achieve financial resilience. Next is the financial challenges faced in the investment industry. There are three core challenges: risk management, scenario analysis, and market volatility. First, we all know that making wise decisions requires careful considerations of risk. It's crucial to evaluate the possible risk associated with investments and plan risk reduction plans. Next is the scenario analysis. To cope with unpredictable market fluctuations can impact the investment industry. And lastly, then the market volatility. The rapid and unpredictable changes in stock prices can lead to an increased market volatility. After that, we're going to the objectives of simulation. Simulation represents how the model evolves under different conditions over time. So financial market behaviors can be examined and forecasted through various simulation models. It can also be used to produce future scenarios by using by utilizing market patterns, historical data, and other variables. So our goal today is to forecast and evaluate future stock prices to observe how this influence in that investment industry methods. So using the simulation, our research is intended to help investors, portfolio managers, and financial decision makers to make informed decisions. And here is the data set we used. We used the historical stock prices. This is to utilize a diverse set of the actual stock prices retrieved to analyze the past trends, and that will help us understand how the market behaved in different scenarios. Also, for the time frame, we use 5 years period so that we can have meaningful analysis of the trends and pattern. Data sources, we got our stock prices from Yahoo Finance website, and we're working on the stocks from Morgan Stanley Investment Company. So I'll pass the presentation to my group mate to continue. Okay.
Okay, so moving on to the simulation methodology and the scenario analysis. So we'll first move on to how we got our data. So as mentioned, we got our data from Yahoo Finance. So you just come here, you search for the desired company or investment company. We went with Morgan Stanley. So this one, you just click it. And then because we want historical data, you click historical data. And then we want our information to be based from the past 5 years. So we come to the time period and then we specify that we want 5 years. Then you apply. And then it gets you the data for you for the past 5 years. So with our case, it was 2018 to 2023. So you click download. The moment you click download, it downloads the Excel file. So we will move on to the Excel file on how we do the simulation. Okay. So moving along to the simulation. So once you download the data, it will give you the dates, the opening price floor, and the number of things. So we were using the opening stock prices. So this is the data that we got. So firstly, to calculate our simulation, we'll calculate the change in the stock price by using the formula ln of today's stock price divided by today's stock price divided by yesterday's stock price. So we do that, and also because we said our data is for the past 5 years, the data that we'll be simulating is for 260 days. So we will want to simulate the price. So moving on to simulating the price for our first day, we're just going to take this opening price and we bring it here. And then now, when we now want to simulate the price, we will use this formula, the previous price times the exponential of a small or any number between 1 to 1,265. And we want it to generate a random number. So we have the random number and then the difference between the random number, which we get it by doing the small. And then here, this is for the random number. And then when you click enter, it generates data for you. As you can see, it keeps on changing. So you double click here, it does for 1,265 data. So because we want to see the stock price in different scenarios or different simulations. You will come here and you copy this column, you paste it, you copy it a number of times till we did ours. You can do it even for large data. We did ours up to here. So the reason why we're doing that is because we want to generate a graph that will give us different scenarios so that we can see the price movement, and it will help us to predict the future price stock. So after this, you will have to highlight all those prices. And then after you highlight them, let me try highlighting them. Okay, so you just highlight the prices. Sorry. We want to generate a graph. So after highlighting everything, you come here on insert, and we want a graph, and you get a line graph that shows you the trend over the years. So we did our graph already here. So you get something like this. As this data changes, you can get different scenarios. So as we can see from this data, because we start our starting price is around 40.8 here, and the price changes for the past 5 years. So because we were generating different simulations, that's why we get all these graphs. So we can see that let's say someone wants to invest because maybe, and they start at 40.88, and they want to see what the stock price will be maybe in 222 days. So as we can see here, it will be maybe at a minimum of $20 and a maximum of maybe $90. If someone invests 40.88 with the current stock price today, and they want to get a certain income in, let's say, 573, it will be maybe at a minimum of, let's say, 10.2358, and at a maximum of maybe $80. So this helps investors in knowing whether to buy stocks or to buy a call option or a put option based on the minimum price that could be there and the maximum price that could be there. So it shows you a different, and if maybe, let's say, someone wants to invest over 1,111 days, because this represents the days and this represents the prices. So this is the change. So in 1,101 days, if the stock price was 40.88, it could be at a minimum of 2.4 and at a maximum of 107. So it shows someone the risk that they could be taking, and it helps to the investor to know whether they should buy a call option or a put option for a certain period of time. So we'll go back to our slides. So we'll look at the limitations of a simulation, because as we've seen, we used the previous data to try and predict the future stock prices in terms of the minimum and the maximum, and it gave us a range and the risk that the investor could be taking. But then there are limitations to the simulation. One could be scenario analysis. A simulation facilitates scenario analysis. The limitation being that you don't know the future outcomes that could happen. They could be maybe like, because the stock price moves based on information. So you can't tell that maybe in 5 years there might be COVID, there are wars that happen, there are political issues that happen, and simulation can't predict those. And another limitation of simulation is that there is lack of real-time adaptability. Simulations are typically static and may not adapt in real time to changing market conditions. So the market conditions may change, and the market dynamics is also complex. Simulation doesn't have the ability to cover all the information. And also simulation often relies on historical data to model future scenarios. However, past performance does not guarantee future results, and market conditions can change. So it doesn't give a fixed amount in terms of the stock prices. It just gives a general trend on something that might possibly happen. I will hand over the time to my group mates to finish off.
So lastly, here are the key insights derived from the simulation. First is the risk insight assessment. So simulation helps investors to assess the risk associated with different investment portfolios and strategies by modeling various market scenarios. Investors can identify potential downside risks and vulnerabilities in their portfolios and allowing for adjustments and better risk mitigation. The second is educational value. For simulations provide a risk-free environment for investors to gain practical expertise and understanding of financial markets. This also means that institutions can ensure that their compliance with changing regulations and identifying potential gaps and making adjustments to make regulatory requirements. The last is regulatory compliance testing, whereby the simulations need to help financial institutions to test and validate their compliance system and processes. That's all from our part, and thank you. Hope you understood.